Hey everyone, so according to that I'm now streaming, so I guess there's going to be about a 30-second buffer. But how are you all doing? I'm Hikosaemon, this is Tokyo Tonight. This is the warm-up part of the show, the first 10 minutes. I'm using a timer, which reminds me, I have to use the timer in order to say that I'm using it. Bada bing. This is a really cool app. What is it called? It is called P-Timer Plus. A Japanese girl from an international school in Tokyo made this and won it in a competition. It's a free app and it's kind of awesome because you can see here well, that came out all dark. That was reflecting the light back, that's why. I'll try to tilt it down. So basically you can see I've got little different sections of the show, and this way I can kind of explain what I'm going to try to do tonight. Let me hold that there like that so that you can get an idea. So basically a little bit of a chat thing first, and I want to do 2 recorded official bits that I'll leave as separate videos so that people can, you know, who missed the show live, can come and check out later what they liked, or just to watch the news part if they don't want to watch the whole hour. And I'm going to do 5 minutes in Japanese and 5 minutes in English. So we'll see how that goes. That's a new experiment. While I'm talking to you, I'm just going to be turning off the streams on each side so that, boom, we have that all under control, checking my control panel, so that's all good. I've actually got time after that. I'll probably just actually go through the comments after that, but I do have time if I want to do 2 preset topics, and one of those topics at the moment is, of course, some news that came up tonight, the latest on the AKB attack in Ibaraki. And I see that some people already are putting in that they've got comments and thoughts on that. I had some great questions already in tonight from some people. I know that some people put some comments on Facebook and stuff. I like the comments to all be on the video. That's just me. It's easier for me to track. I can't jump around all the different screens. Plus now, of course, I'm making it so that I can share the comments with you, which is awesome as well. How are you all doing? I'm doing good. It's been a crazy week. They've all been crazy lately. Some good stuff to look forward to. I guess we can take down the Tokyo Tonight intro thing by now. Oh, that was never on there, so actually I'm going to put that on there. Let's different colors, change the color, and boom, merge it in. So welcome to Tokyo Tonight. That's my little title thing. By the way, for the thumbnails for these videos, I always create them by taking whatever my latest, hopefully I try to do at least one a week, Instagram photo, and I put them on that. In fact, that reminds me of something else I'd quite like to do on the show, is show you my Instagram process, but not tonight. But yes, so I always use this as a template with my Instagram photos underneath, and it actually works. They come out quite nice thumbnails, even if I do say so myself. But yeah, so let's get in and say hello. I guess I'll come back and try to remember some of these comments for later. But boom. So let me just see where we're at with the comments and stuff. I'm just going to say hello to everybody. I've still got 7 minutes according to my timer to say hello to you all. I guess some big, maybe start on the YouTube news because it's kind of interesting. Well, there's a few things that have been happening. Some of you have noticed that Kevin, Busan Kevin's channel has gone into, what do you call it? It hasn't been retired and it's not being shut down, but it is going into hibernation for a period of time. It's having a bit of a cool off period. I think he talked about it on the 3 Old Dudes show, and I saw parts of it, and so I don't want to, I don't know a lot about it, but it seems basically there was some troll trouble, which is always kind of sad when that affects the channel, but the net effect of that is that yeah, he's gonna just take it down, not take it down, but if you want to follow his stuff, and he's a great guy to follow, he is going to remain active on Jland Kev, so go and follow that instead, Jland Kev, and go and otherwise, yes, say subscribe to Busan Kevin, it will come back, but for now it's just going through a bit of a hiatus. That is the word I was looking for. See, I've forgotten English, but that's okay. Some other interesting news, I actually put this on my, in fact, I might come back to this on my video topics for my magazine. YouTube gave a heads up that it's trialing a whole lot of features that it's going to release. Probably the most exciting one as a creator from my perspective is that they're going to release they're developing an app which will allow us to do all the video control editing stuff that at the moment you can only do on a Mac or a PC or a Chromebook, but you can't do on a tablet device. You can't do on Android or on iOS. And you know, given how hard Google's been pushing, I suppose that they are being pulled rather than pushing, perhaps, that everyone to go to mobile, or to make videos mobile friendly and make thumbnails easy to read on mobile devices. Because whenever you go to a YouTube event, they keep telling you crazy views, crazy monetization if you do it on mobile. But at the same time, we're all going to mobile, and even me, I'd love to do everything on my iPhone and my iPad, but I can't because they don't let you. There's no functionality on the YouTube apps, but they're working on that, and that was really, really cool. So what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to go through and say hello to everyone, and 4 minutes and 50 seconds of that, and then we'll get into the newsy bits, the part which I'll leave as the remaining video, and then we'll do the big interactive thing. So boom, let's come back in, and I guess change the color down the bottom and get into some comments, shall we? So just some initial comments. B-Boy Trippin', good to see you. I see you've got a question there, so I'll come back to that later on in the show. Chishinu, good to see you. World Beneath Your Feet. Philomena Young, strong opinions about the AKB thing, so we'll come back to that definitely. Ahmed, always good to see you, man. Many United Nations, Saluki-san, Dekiana Dunn, I saw Austin Richardson also up there, good to see you. Charlie Brown, AU, I watched your unboxing vid. I skipped through parts of it, but you got some pretty cool kit there. Yeah, no, that was fun. It was a shame. I was looking forward to seeing it powered up, but then the battery on your camera ran out. I also suggest you trim the video up a little bit. You can probably do a really good 5-minute video there, make it a bit more bouncy, but it was cool. So good stuff, man. 関天祭こんばんは。今日日本語も喋りますんで、はい。それ楽しみにしてください。December Clouds, good to see you. Jordan Dole, who left me some questions on Facebook, good to see you, and I will get to those. Thank you for reminding me what they are up here. And that's a very good question that you had. In fact, he's got a question about whether you having Japanese use keigo with you, respect language, which is a really that's a very nuanced, and it's a great question which we could do for the whole hour, and I'll try to do what we can in the time that we have when we get to it. Narcissus, good to see you. December Clouds again, people do. Joe Casey, Kantensai, oh, we've got some good. 今週は話題盛りだくさんですね。そうだよね。Amazon の残送通知が気になっています。I don't know about that one. 残送通知。通知 Let me check that one. I know that Amazon's getting beaten up. Bitcoin のやつなるほどね。これビットコインみたいなのなんか発表したんだ。That sounds like Amazon's got a current, which I didn't even know about. They've released some sort of a currency or something. Well, that's all cool. Who else? Robert, 1967, Canada. Good to see you. And I did enjoy watching bits. I didn't watch the whole thing, of course, and I came in late, but I caught bits of Busan Kevin. It was great that you got him on. White Magic 4, good to see you. And good to see you using Japanese. And by the way, everyone, feel free to use Japanese in the comments with me. If you want to practice, that's what I'm here for, and I'll respond in Japanese and or English. Primarily in English, sorry for the interaction, just because everyone uses English, but of course I'm quite happy to use either language. Some other, just a heads up, this Wednesday 10:30 we have confirmed that we will be getting Dave Powell, who is the man behind Shoot Tokyo. He's running a fantastic Kickstarter at the moment, which I think is well worth supporting. He's releasing, he is one of the, street photography is a crowded genre in Tokyo. But he's one of the standouts. He's the real deal. He takes great photos. He's a Leica guy. Really brilliant cameras, and he cares deeply about what he does, and he's always done really impressive work. If you're on Google Plus, you might know about him. He's kind of got guru status on Google Plus. He's one of the leading photographer names that I see in the circles on there. And yeah, he's doing a bit of a Kickstarter to release a photo book to get it printed. But the thing I love about Kickstarter is how it pulls people in and gets them engaged. So that's really cool, and we're looking forward to getting him on to talk about that and other stuff that he's been doing. And this is part of my drive to try to get more diverse people onto our show. I sort of thought of some other people. I want to get Wendy Tokunaga on. But I want to read her book properly first, which I haven't done yet. I see her a lot on Twitter, and she seems very on the ball, and I like her. We'd love to get Rochelle Kopp. In fact, I should really get her one day. She's from Japan Intercultural Consulting, and I really like interacting with her. I'm hoping I can catch up with her this week because she's visiting Japan, but she's a real brain on intercultural studies. Of course, Jake Adelstein, who is currently back in the US, but we have now talked a couple of times. And we'll get him on, and it will be awesome when he's on. But we'll play that by ear for now. But we'll be very awesome this week. So come and join on my channel this week for Dave Powell from Shoot Tokyo. So yeah, lots and lots of awesome stuff. I am going to be reading and showing off my Flipboard magazine on the video topics that I've selected. Of course, I've got more than that, and I might come back to that at the end. But that is what I'm going to be talking about for the next 10 minutes. So I'm going to do 5 minutes, basically a recorded video as if you aren't there. And then I'm going to do 5 minutes in Japanese, doing the same thing again. And then I'm going to do the interactive thing with you guys, if that's okay. So let's try this bit of an experiment, but boom. So I'm going to put on the theme music, and then I'm going to do my recorded thingy, was it? So let me go into the theme. And we're back. So this is Hikosaemon. Welcome to Tokyo Tonight, which is my weekly roundup of news and topics in Japan. This is going to be a 5-minute video tonight. Hopefully I'm going to keep it to 5 minutes, featuring the stories that I like to pick up during the week and save in my Flipboard magazine. I'm going to talk you through them in English. There's also a Japanese version of this, which I'm also going to upload at the same time. I'm going to try to keep to the same length. And if you want to see and discuss these topics with me live, that's what this is for. I do a live show every Sunday night, 11 p.m. Japan time, and you can come and join me and we can actually talk about them. But for now, here's me telling the topics that I've picked up and found interesting this week. There's been a lot of stuff going on. I guess first of all, let me just refresh the screen here. Make sure I've got the latest stuff, because I just added some stuff. There's been some news tonight. The first story here is up here. It's a video which was forwarded by Hiroko Tobuchi, talking about Japan's disposable workers. It talks about labor reforms in the last particularly 10 but also 20 years, and the working poor situation in Japan and how it's really changing Japanese society. Very interesting subject. I have not been able to watch the video yet, but the topic is good. It's being recommended by New York Times Pulitzer Prize winner Hiroko Tobuchi, and it's a really fascinating subject, particularly from the well, starting with the collapse of the bubble, but of course going through the Koizumi labor reforms as well, and that's super interesting. So I've kind of bookmarked that to watch myself, but that's recommended. Tonight, I guess I'm going to get more information in the discussion afterwards, but of course by now people have heard that AKB 48, there was they were at a fan meeting event in Iwate, which is where they basically allow fans come up, and apparently you have to buy CDs, or maybe a certain number of CDs or whatever, to get a ticket to actually meet them when they come, although they do have general handshakes as well. But they're at this kind of fan greeting event, and one of the members of AKB48, not disclosed who yet, was stabbed, and apparently 2 of the staff there, over 50 members of the band, of the group, at this meeting. The details are still not clear, except that 3 people were stabbed and taken to hospital, although they're all conscious. Of course, hoping that they're well. I mean, whatever you think about AKB48 and what it represents, doesn't like it or lump it. These are young girls who are out meeting fans. They don't deserve to get stabbed. And the guy, obviously a nutcase, and we're going to find out. I guess brace yourself, because you're going to hear a lot about this, and there's going to be some discussion about this later. But obviously a terrible thing. And is it going to get to the point that, again, you can't be any sort of celebrity in Japan and meet people in public? Is that where this is going? I hope not. Some other news, big news tonight, is of course over the East China Sea. And basically, you might remember a year ago, maybe less than a year ago now, China defined an air defense zone which overlapped with the Senkaku Islands, which are currently controlled by Japan. So it overlaps over Japanese territory, where China says they're not allowed to fly planes, and goes all the way beyond the middle line between China and Japan. China is doing exercises with Russia at the moment in that sea, and Japan was flying in its own aerial defense zone, and the 2 of them overlap now, of course, because China's got this zone where they say Japanese planes aren't allowed to fly. Japan flew a monitoring plane through its own zone, but in the zone overlapping with China, and they basically got buzzed by Chinese fighter jets tonight. And this all seems to me to be going on a line like this, where basically, and this is the thing, when you're a dictatorship, you can play a long game, and they're escalating. They keep sending in more ships, they're getting closer to the islands, more incursions, they're getting more aggressive, and this is it. They just keep testing Japan, and Japan really can't do anything back, and unfortunately I don't know what can be done to stop it, but this all seems to me to be going to a place that there's going to be Japanese planes are going to get shot at. This is just going to go to something really ugly, And I hope something can be done to stop it. And the best thing can be, of course, the United States stepping up to say that they won't tolerate it. But even then, given what's happening in the Philippines and Vietnam and everything like that, they're getting bolder, and I'm not sure that America's going to step up and do that. But we'll see. Some other things I found really cool. There's been a really cool video released on the on the YouTube creator blog highlighting new features that are going to be coming out soon, including like a mobile editing app, which creators can use, and various other things, captioning apps, different types of fundraising and stuff like that. That's cool. I found a great article on untranslatable Japanese words, which I think is also very cool, and how they try to express those. Suggest you have a look through those. It's just really good reading. And that's basically it. I mean, there's rolling out more free Wi-Fi to Japanese tourists. Tokyo was recently voted by a big survey of international tourists as the best tourist visiting location, which is kind of surprising to me, because it never was that tourist friendly. But they are working very hard on it, and it's good to see it getting results. And that's about it. So, hope you enjoyed that. If you want to watch the full hour show and really discuss these topics in detail, that's what I do the live show for every Sunday. So I guess if you missed that, you're watching this. But come join me every Sunday, 11 p.m. live, and we can discuss it together. But that is the English version, the 5-minute version of the news and stuff that I'm going to talk about tonight, May 25th on this show. And now I'm going to switch over into a Japanese version. Peace. Kakakat. So now, if you'll bear with me, I'm going to do a 5-minute Japanese version of this. Now I see the thing, I need to put a gap in my little timer here, bada bing, so that I can so I can do this again in Japanese. We'll see how well I can do this in Japanese. I haven't done Japanese videos for a while, and actually one reason I want to do Japanese videos is I may or may not be able to access a new secret feature. Not yet anyway, but we'll see. There might be something about with this new captioning feature that I got a little heads up on, because I'm a big guy who makes a lot of complaints to YouTube about captions. And I might want to caption this next video, so we'll see. I'm going to keep it super short. I'll try. So bear with me. I hope you're enjoying this, and put comments on these on these new stories, because these are the stories that I want to come back to and talk about in 5 minutes time when I'm done with this. So bear with me. On to the Japanese. I'm going to trim this out and put this as a standalone video after this video, if that's okay. So give me a sec. And you can all make fun of all my Japanese mistakes if you can spot them, which I'm sure you can. Truth is as well, I don't know a lot of the terminology for this now that I think about it. I read it, but well, let's try it. This is all a brave new experiment for me. Okay, so 3. I guess I'll overlap 5 minutes. Got it. I'm slightly more nervous about this one. Okay, let's just do the intro. Boom. Oh, that didn't work. Okay. Now I got it. Boom.はい、こんばんは、Hikosaemonです。今日は久しぶりの日本語動画で、ちょっとね、これから週1回5分の、なんか毎週日曜日夜11時からライブショー1時間、だいたい英語でだけど、日本語でもいいんだけど、日本のニュースとか面白い話題とかみんなの質問を取って話す東京トゥナイトっていうもうライブ配信番組やってるんだけど、もう最近英語ばっかでちょっと日本語をやりたいなと思ってて、それについても圧縮した5分まとめの今日のライブショーで話すトピックスを日本語でまとめていきたいと思う。でもうすでにコメントの中でもね、英語も日本語も両方あるようにここ見れると思うんだけど、主には英語になってるけど、もっとその日本語の参加も増やしたいと思うし、日本語コンテンツを作ってここの中に字幕とかつけたいとは思うんだけど、今日どんなトピックを話すのかというと、今日特に日曜日25日ということで、もうみんな多分ねこれ見た時にはもっとお分かりになっていると思うんだけど、一応 今日はもう夕方から一番大きいニュースはその AKB の岩手県の事件で3人、1人メンバーと2人スタッフが刺されたようで、今あんまり情報がないんだけど、一応3人とも病院に運ばれて、状況意識はある状態だけど、もう誰が刺されて何の経緯かよくわかんないんだけどね。ちょっとね、もう最近こういう嫌な事件が、マスコミを取り上げるから増えてるように感じるんだけど、でもAKB は僕は正直言ってファンではないだけど、だからさしていいこともないし、このような握手会みたいなことこういう指す人がいると思うからできないことになったら、もうそれもちょっと寂しいな。日本はそういうところじゃないって認識もあるんで、ちょっと大変残念な事件だけど、ちょっとこれから情報もっと出てくると思います。あとですね、ヒロコタブジニューヨークタイムズの人がちょっと転送した日本の労働事情に関する動画とか記事をちょっと今日転送して、これから見るつもりだけど英語の動画で、小泉時代前からバブル崩壊からこの20年ぐらいにわたっての労働情勢に関しての今そのいわゆるワーキングプアとか今どうなってるかとかってちょっとまとまりの、もう最近よく話題になってるんだよね。特にその派遣村とかってあったりして、最近聞かないけど、でもだいぶね働き苦しくなってきてるところに関してもそれ紹介する動画もあって、英語でそういう意味で日本はどう世界にも配信されてて、その問題はどういう問題社会あるのか、これ一つ確かに有効な問題だと思うし面白いと思います。あと今日のニュースだったけど、昨日あった事件らしくて今日発表になったんだけど、小野寺大臣が日本と中国の軍隊が、中国の空軍と日本の航空自衛隊がどうやら東シナ海の上で飛行機がやっぱその中国人が勝手に作った中国人じゃなくて中国政府が勝手に作った識別ゾーンの上で飛行機非常に近く、もう30メートル以内、半端なく近くに接近した事件があって、でこれ確かにちょっと思い出すと、いつだっけ、15年多分日本来る前かな、俺98年来てその前だったような気がするけど、海南島の近くに昔同じようなアメリカの監視する飛行機が中国の戦闘機とぶつかって両方とも墜落した事故になったんだけど、もうそのような状況もなってきて、やっぱね中国はどんどんその挑発はどんどん引き上げて、やっぱアメリカ入らない限りはもう止まらないんじゃないかな。最近フィリピンとかベトナムのことがいろいろあってちょっと怖いなと思うんだけど、やめてほしい、勘弁してほしい。こういうこと何の意味だよね、こんなこと仲悪くする必要何にもないと思うんだけど、でもやっぱりあの国はもう本当に政府がやっぱ内部な事情が悪くなると盛り上げるために日本挑発したりそう周りの国挑発したりしてね、みんな仲良くしてほしいんでぜひこういうことも明かしないように希望してるんだけど、あと最近 YouTube に関してまだね未発表まだ公開してないフィーチャーがいくつかこの間特別動画で発表されて、それ例えばこの iPad とかで動画編集とか管理がもっとできるようになって、クリエイターにとってやっとそういう数年このモバイルプッシュしてるのにPC なし Mac なしで管理できなかったのに、これからできることをもう本当に期待してて、そうなると僕嬉しいんだけど、他の面白い興味深い機能がたくさんもこれから追加する発表もなって、もうとても興味深いんでYouTube に興味ある方はぜひ見てください。あとこのちょっとね英語に翻訳できない日本語の表現、これいくつかあって、ちょっとねこれ多分面白いと思うんだけど、今日見るところも時間があんまりないんだけど、例えば木漏れ日光が漏れる日、それは確かに分解してわかるけど、爆シャンね、後ろ姿がブサイク、美人な人ね、積んどくとか、ちょっとね日本の物珍しい言葉とかで、ちなみに自分ですね好きなニュースとかTwitter とかから一番保存した面白いやつを毎週集めて分類して、例えば日本語専用の雑誌もあるし、この動画で取り上げるトピックスの雑誌もあるし、この間外国人メイドでなぜかこんな変な画像を使われたんだけど、賛成派だろこの新聞 いろいろあったんだけど、ぜひ日本語のコンテンツも英語のコンテンツもあるし、これからもっと日本語のコンテンツ作りたいんで、ぜひサポートして、これからちょっとライブトークするんで、そのライブトーク参加したい人、毎週日曜日夜11時からご参加ください。はい、please. And boom, we be out. Okay, that is all the end of my live. That's going to be the recorded part that I'm going to leave as a separate shorter video. Just an experiment to see if it'll get more views, because generally people see a 1 hour video. No one really wants to watch it. A few people do. A few people like this as a podcast type deal. But most people, understandably, I think, don't want to watch the full 1 hour afterwards. It looks a bit long. So this is to make it a little bit more digestible and to try to attract viewers from, particularly from the Japan side. But also people haven't seen the show before, but they want to know what it's about. So we'll see how it goes. Tell me what you think of the idea. Also tell me, is my sound still in sync and is everything okay? I can't really do much about it if it goes out of sync actually, but it is what it is. I'm going to start getting into topics. I'm just kind of interested in checking out. Oh, I haven't. One thing I've got to. Oh, no, I'll do that. I've got to. I forgot to switch shots. Tell me what you think of that idea as a format, by the way. I'd like some feedback. Do you like this idea of me doing the 5 minutes and stuff? It looks like Narcissus. Everyone's congratulating Narcissus. So, finally finished university this week and got your jet placement. That is awesome, Narcissus. Where did you get your jet placement? Where are you going? That is really cool. And you want to talk to my Argonauts, Jason. He is the jet guru. He is the man when it comes to jet. But that is really, really cool. That is something I considered myself. I'll come back to this because this is a good topic. I'm not an expert on jet and I haven't done it, but I considered it. I was kind of lucky. I came to see if I could find another way to get to Japan on work. I always considered jet a fallback, and I was lucky that I found another job that didn't involve teaching. Although that was something I thought as being like, that would be what would get me here. And I know so many people have done so well who started out on jet, so that is really awesome. Give me some feedback. I know that I'm sorry, it means I'm ignoring you for about 10 minutes, but you get to see me kind of make a show, and I want to play around with this. I want to try to make. I don't get a lot of time anymore. I'm a family dude. Some people are family dudes, but they're families that are more forgiving and they allow people to make videos every day. Me, I have to do things efficiently. So if you don't mind it that way, I'd like to kind of keep up this format. But we can go into random topics now. Tell me, leave in the comments which topics interested you from what I just talked about that you want to talk about more, and we can do this in English or Japanese. And anything else you want to talk about. The floor is now open, and I'm now going to go through the comments in order, starting at the top. And tell me what you think about the format. I mean, I'm always trying to improve this thing. I hope you like it. I hope this is legible. It looks legible on the screen I'm looking at, but I don't know how it looks to you guys. And by the way, remember to keep adding... I'm feeling competitive now. Victor, he wouldn't even go on without 50 likes, and I'm not sure. I mean, I might get 10 likes with 4 family members. Maybe my mum would put it on twice. I don't get a lot of likes like him. He's a well-liked guy, but it's nice. It's not saying you can do what you like, but it's nice. Truth is, yeah, I must admit, I don't care that much actually. I just certainly don't care about the thumbs down so much, but it's all good. So anyway, let's start going through the topics, because that's what we came here. We came here to talk, and now this time it belongs to you guys. So great first question here by B-Boy Trippin'. Great question here. Do I feel obligated to go to the nomikais at my workplace, or do they really not care if I go? So just wondering how it works working at a Japanese company as a foreigner. That's an interesting one. I've worked at 4 companies now. The first 2 were very Japanese. Second one was not Japanese at all. The current one is pretty Japanese. I think it goes like this. Japanese don't really have a cultural, generally speaking, I'm always generalizing, but they generally don't have a practice of meeting at someone's house, for a party or for drinks or for a beer or for a barbecue. That idea, if you want to invite a coworker over for a barbecue or something or for drinks, you go up to a nomikai. Everything is done through a nomikai, and that means that, so it can be a very intimate bonding, get to know you, make friends thing, or it can be a, kind of a work, boring kind of, boss doesn't want to go home to his wife kind of a thing. For some people it's just a refuge, and for some it's a genuine bonding thing. So to the extent, and certainly where it is now, I turned down a normie just this week, and I kind of felt bad about it. I did. I don't know. I try not to go too often to these things, but I try to make them good when I go. But you know, it's tough. I've got, you know, obligations at home, which is also why I cut down on the YouTubing thing. I do feel bad about it. I mean, I think to the extent that it's a genuine bonding thing, which I think it is, and it's considered a really important way for team building and stuff like that in Japan, and for improving communication and human relationships. And there's this thing as well. You reinforce your outsider status if you don't participate in these things. So as a foreigner, you could argue it's actually even more important than it would otherwise be to make sure that you do participate in these drinks. But frankly, it's the same for everybody. You know, if you're a kohai and you want to be liked by your senpai and supported by him and taken up, you've got to go whether you want to or not. You know, there's a bit of a work obligation kind of pressure thing, and I ended up taking a strategy. My first strategy was just to cooperate with everything. Where at my second job, I intentionally avoided a lot of nomikais just because I found them stressful and not fun. And a lot of people find it that way, and I kind of played the gaijin card to get out of them. Now I try to do it more in a balanced way, but you do feel obligated, no question. You feel obligated, and the question is, how do you play ball? Are you the good guy who goes along to them all, or how do you do it? For me, you know, the nice thing about being a foreigner is that even though you do feel obligated, if you get what's going on, we can always pretend not to get what's going on. We can be KY, kukiyome, and pretend not to get the hint that we're supposed to be at it and stay at home, which gives us some freedom that Japanese people generally don't feel. So no question, as a foreigner, you'd argue, like I say, in some respects you feel even more pressure, more obligation to go along, because you feel more of a desire not to be treated as an outsider and to be included by the group, and that's the sort of stuff you've got to do if you want to be, you know, taken in by the group. But yeah, it's a great question. And of course it varies in every single environment with different people. There are some people who are just unpleasant to go out with and you don't want to, and there are some who's great to hang out with, and some is genuinely friendship building and genuinely bonding, and some is just a work ritual. And that can be, in either case, can be good or bad. So I don't know, but there is an obligation attached to it. This is something that, you know, you do when you're in Japan, and that's hard to get out of. And even though Japanese themselves sometimes don't want to go, a lot of time spent on that one. I'm going to move along to Tishinu. Question for me: how do I feel speaking Japanese in my daily life? Are there any difficulties when it comes to fluency, pronunciation, etc.? I've lived here for 15 years. I don't really feel pressure about pronunciation, or frankly even fluency. It happens. Sometimes I'll get stuck a little bit on a word or an expression. I'm just trying to think. But even then, and this is the thing, you know, I tend to forget English now more than Japanese, which is to say, I've probably reduced my vocabulary enough that I can interoperate in both languages, and because I use Japanese more often, it means I use a lot of expressions and technical expressions in my work that I only use in Japanese, and I find very hard to switch them back into English sometimes. But the thing is, and this is one of the pro tip, the key thing to becoming fluent is not to learn lots of vocabulary. That's something that everyone believes that is wrong. The key to becoming fluent in the language is learning how to leverage, how to utilize, how to use those words that you've got the most. You know, you can have a guy with 5,000 word vocabulary, but as soon as he hits word 5001 that he wants to use in a sentence and he can't think of it, he just completely stops dead in his tracks and he can't express himself anymore. And you got Mr. You know, high school dropout who knows 500 words but can say anything that he wants to say because he knows how to creatively leverage, to use those words to, you know, to put together the expressions he wants to make. You got the people who try to be over technical and try to say everything mechanically and A equals B, and there are people who manage to step back and be flexible, and it's really true. It's Einstein. I told it to Einstein, it's not my quote, but yes, creativity is more important than knowledge is absolutely true. It's the key to fluency is being able on the spot to say what you want to say with what you've got. You never feel like, I mean, kids never feel like they're missing words when they talk to their parents, right? I mean, well, sometimes maybe they do, but pretty much kids get by with what they have. I mean, how do you know what you don't know? How can I talk about nuclear fission, about the nuclear fission process in greater detail than I know, right? I can't. I can say, yeah, they put some uranium in it, and they light it on fire, and they press the button, and, you know, I'm not stuck looking for the words relating to nuclear fission because I've got I don't even know what they are. You know, you work with what you've got, and that's, I guess I've learned to be better at expressing myself using a more limited vocabulary, and that's kind of fun. You know, that's the skill. So I don't feel any problems with fluency because I'm pretty good even when I'm short of words, and I'm not really short of words very often anymore now, frankly, either. But that's the skill which allowed me to become fluent early on, even before I had a large vocabulary. And that also creates an expectation that you've got to then meet, because people expect to have a normal flowing conversation. Nothing worse than having a conversation with someone who's really smart and has a great vocabulary but takes 10 minutes to say every sentence, and this happens in, you know, every language. You know, you want someone who talks with the rhythm and the pace that you're at, and sometimes that means you got to take a step back and simplify your vocabulary and your thinking in order to take 2 steps forward. That's what I learned very early on, and that's how I speak how I speak. It was actually helpful kind of sucking at Japanese. It forced me to to become more creative when I came to Japan. I'm kind of, honestly, I'm kind of glad I wasn't a great student. I'm glad I dropped out of Japanese. I mean, well, it's the end result. The best thing is, of course, to be good at everything, but, you know, I managed to make the situation work for me. So that's my tip. World Beneath Your Feet. Just watched a video on the Japan channel. Oh, that's a name I haven't heard for a while. I respect the Japan channel, the videos that he makes, and he's a good guy. He doesn't speak very much Japanese, and he came to Japan kind of late. And he's got views of Japan that are based on his perspective and his life, and those are valid through, you know, the prison that he lives. And if you're in the same situation as him and you come to Japan, you'll feel things the same way that he does. I live and experience Japan very differently to him, and when he expresses opinions like the fact that there is no compassion in Japanese culture, I get the feeling he probably was having a bad day. It was part of it. I've definitely experienced compassion in my time here. And you know what? I could go back to Australia, where he's from and where I've lived, and there are days where I'd say there's no compassion in Australia. I mean, and it would be true maybe on that day. So I don't know. Do I have anything to add to that? No, I respect the guy. I respect the huge success of his channel and what he does and his dedication to it, and his experience is different to mine, but it's valid, and I'm not going to say that he's wrong. Which I'd say. I might have said that 10 years ago when I was stupid and more simplistic. But no, I appreciate what he's saying is valid for him, and if you're like him and you come here, you probably feel the same thing. Yeah, what can I say? It's a stoic culture. It's not but it depends on where you're at. You know, if you're in Western Japan or Kansai, they're much more expressive than in Tohoku or Hokkaido or even Kanto, where I live in Tokyo. It's not an expressive, warm, fuzzy culture, perhaps, compared to some European cultures, but not compassionate. No, personally, I don't buy it, but I don't reject it. You know, it's up to him and his experience. Philomena, we're going to get to this, and I'm going to jump ahead because we'll come back to the AKB thing. So yeah, I know that you have some strong views on that, which I want to hear about. Ahmed has just watched a video with how Japanese people cope with embarrassing situations, and the guy said they usually laugh at him, not in a mean way, but just to make him feel okay. That's an interesting observation. Nonsense. Well, there is a kind of an ice-breaking thing to laughing. I mean, again, they're human beings like everyone else. Sure, they laugh at people, and sure, they laugh sometimes to try to take the edge off situations, and that both happen sometimes. I don't know. It's an interesting. You send me the link, tweet it, or Facebook me the link. I'd be interested to see what you watched for that. Mini UN, you've got a question there. Oh, maybe this is what you're responding to. Random question: is it true Japanese being silent is the highest compliment? So you watched a making of Star Wars Empire of Dreams. Oh, by the way, I saw an awesome thing. There was a thing, I think it was on Gizmodo, talking about the origin of the word Jedi, and it was this video put together by someone who was going through the whole timeline back to the Japanese movie making tradition, and how Kurosawa influenced George Lucas and all the tie-overs between Star Wars and Kurosawa and the Japanese filmmaking tradition. And it was awesome. It was really, really good. It never even actually occurred to me that Jedi comes from Jidaigeki. It comes from the timepiece, from those kind of movies. It was really, really cool. So I kind of saw an interesting Star Wars related movie lately that ties into Japanese culture. Short answer, no. Being silent, well, again, it depends on the person. There is a kind of a stereotype in Japanese culture. Like when you talk about an artisan, like a sword maker, or like a, I saw something a few weeks ago on the nose hair puller, the best nose hair puller, tweezer maker in the world, and when you go and work for that guy and you get a lot of abuse and hassles all your life, and then finally one day the old guy comes and gives you a compliment on your work. In fact, no, the idea is that they never give you a compliment. The idea is that they beat you and they abuse you and they hassle you, and if you've done a good job they just say nothing, and then they'll say, oh, that's the highest compliment. But it's a bit Yoda-ish, but that's kind of I think that's kind of the deal that they're referring to there. I don't know about that. No, in fact, that I think there's that cultural stereotype, but absolutely, Japanese are quite capable of praising, and they should. I think there's a tendency not to praise enough in Japanese culture, and I've had bosses like that who are just like mean all the time, and even when they say, there is kind of a thing as well, they don't say silent, but if you've got a real old-fashioned, like a real Showa era, like a Hirohito era boss, like in his 50s or 60s or above, they use this expression gokuro. And gokuro is good job, but it's kind of it's a really up-down. We'll come on to the keigo discussion, because I know that's something Jodando wants to talk about, but that's a real what a senpai says to a kohai, but miles apart. It's a little bit stuck up. But of course, if you're a boss and you want to praise the apprentice who's done a good job, and you want to express a word, some might say that gokuro is the greatest compliment, because that's like the highest up boss recognizing the lowest dirt guy and paying him a compliment. But I don't like gokuro. I always say otsukare-sama, because I like to think, I don't like to treat people down. I can treat people up, but I don't like down. But otsukare-sama desu is kind of an equal up, polite level thing. Definitely many UN. Sorry to disappoint. I can imagine there might be contexts where that might have some truth, but no, it's not true. Saluki-san, you heard the Japanese are like human beings or something, and live and breathe as human beings. Can I confirm this? I'm not so sure about that, Saluki-san. You've been reading some wild, crazy propaganda, conspiracy materials by the sound of it. I cannot confirm that for you at all, but exactly, right, exactly. In fact, actually, now that I can think of it, the last two questions were exactly, they were triggering that, weren't they? Do they actually pay? Do they actually speak? I don't know, do they eat ice cream? Are they from Zeta Reticula? I remember there was that UFO cover-up special in the 80s where they introduced the aliens, and apparently they like strawberry ice cream, which is why I always keep a supply. Yes, Austin Richardson also suspicious about the comment raised by Saluki-san. I'm here. No, I'm not going to confirm that at all. That you guys are just don't know what you're smoking there. But yes, Deanna Dunn, good question, because this relates. Well, okay. So how long does it take for a visa to Japan to process and get accepted? Depends on what kind of visa, and there are lots of different kinds of visas, and I'm not an expert off the top of my head of all of them. Also depends on where you're from. If you're from New Zealand, for example, there's not much chance of that, but if there is, you can just rock in anytime, 90 days, you get a free tourist visa. Good to be a New Zealander, you don't have to pre-apply. Some countries you do. Working holiday visa, I think, took about 3 months to apply for. Work visa took 3 months, but it also included getting a certificate of eligibility from the employer, so it's not just on my end. I took like a couple of weeks for the employer to prepare the certificate, to get that from immigration, send it back, send it to me. I had to take it to the embassy, they send it back to Japan, get the passport back. It takes about 3 months, and it's a pain. I just got my permanent residence visa, which I applied for in October. Started the process on that, which I will do a video on that one day soon. I've been kind of preparing it, but it stalled a bit, I admit. But that took, I guess, 7 months, and there were different steps, and part of it was my fault. Just not, I guess I could have gone for it and maybe gotten it in maybe 3 or 4 months, but I was told to expect 10 months. I did it in about 7, and it was pain. It was a pain, and these things are not easy, but if it was easy, then the whole country would be overrun with foreigners, right? Although, some people argue that's what Japan needs at the moment. That's right, Philomena Young, indeed, the process goes long enough to give you brown hairs. Oh, and Charlie Brown AU maybe can join tonight, so that's good. Exactly, December Clouds has got it, nailed it, depends on the type of visa, of course. Sometimes it doesn't take any time. Kandasai konbanwa, konbanwa. By the way, yeah, go and check out Help Me Find Parents, because he pinged me a while ago and I've been terrible about this, but I just remembered randomly, because I was doing my Kentanaka, his brother David Yuri, who you might know was on Breaking Bad. He was the guy whose head got crushed by the ATM. He's made a few short videos with other members of the cast of Breaking Bad, and they're really, really awesome, as well as his last big viral thing about the you know, I'm a Japanese speaker who doesn't look Japanese thing. He's making some really good stuff like this, so go check that stuff out. It's really good. And yeah, I saw your video, Charlie Brown AU. That was all good. Jordan Do, okay, your question. So here you go. You get all the keigo. Keigo is an honorific language, so basically polite language, holding someone up. So now being a club senpai, so you've got kohais now. That's interesting. Most of the first years use keigo when talking to you, although some weirdly decide not to, despite using it with other people my age. Oh, the differential treatment because you're engaging. Yeah, I know about that. As a foreigner, have you ever experienced this disconnect with people not using it toward you? What do you think of the whole keigo toward senpai dynamic? That is interesting. Well, this goes back now to especially to my first 3 years in Japan. You will get maybe two types of Japanese. You'll get the Japanese who you have to understand, okay, especially for Japanese who don't know you, the presumption is with any foreigner that you are a kyakusan. An okyakusan is a guy that you always talk politely to, but they have no place in the social hierarchy. So they're not below anyone, which is great because it means that you can walk straight up to the dai senpai or the university professor, and they'll speak to you politely, and you'll speak to them politely, and they'll be very nice to you. Whereas your classmates will all be treated like dirt. But at the same time, the kohais might use a certain amount of polite language, but they won't really accept you as their senpai, because and there's angles with this I struggled with for a long time. This comes a lot down to my can a foreigner be Japanese video that I did a long time ago. I think you know about. To really become a Japanese and to really be a senpai, part of it is dictated by how you act towards them. And if you're nice to them and if you speak nicely towards them, that will reinforce the okyakusan, the guest position that you're presumed to be in as a foreigner. Sometimes as they get to know you, I mean, in the work where I'm at, and by the way, the university, or your own club thing, but that kind of club-based kind of kohai thing, the senpai kohai thing, is kind of weird. It does come into work and into business, but basically, in my work, I speak with everyone pretty much politely, honestly, and I like. Well, no, actually, and you know what? Some of the bosses will talk to me, and some of my bosses have talked down to me. But to tell the truth, I always struggled with being a senpai, partly because I would speak politely to my kohais, and that was, I guess they thought that was nice, and I felt good doing it. But then you realize they don't respect you or see you as a senpai as a result of that. But to really get kohais treating you like a senpai, frankly, you've got to use the omae, gokuro, which I hate. I hate those expressions. But you got to kind of use them. You got to slap them around. You got to kind of criticize their work. You got to give some eyes and kind of make them do crappy stuff. And I mean, everyone wants to be the cool senpai, but kohais don't respect cool senpais in the sense of the senpai who's always nice. So I don't know. You got to kind of act. And you know what I suggest on this? And I did the same. I took some counseling on this from other people my age, and on what I should do to be seen more as a senpai, to be treated like that. It's possible to do. You can get in there, but I think the first thing you have to really, really show that you're one of the gang and that you are not a guest. You gotta do all the normies. You gotta lead by example, and you gotta kind of play the role. And to play the role, you gotta learn it, because there isn't anything like it really in Australian or New Zealand culture. The idea in Australia of a Japanese type senpai who like orders around and bosses around kohais, it's very incompatible with our egalitarian culture. and being nice and treating everyone like equal doesn't get respect. So it's really, really tough. And I never really overcame that thing. You can demand that they speak Keigo to you. I actually had a kohai who came in a year after me and was trying to assert himself. And this happens sometimes. You get the alpha male types who they've just joined, but they want to pretend like they're the boss and exert a presence. And they came straight to me and said that they want me to speak. Told me that they want me to speak Keigo to them. And this is something that happens in martial arts and so on as well. You know, like they'll come up and they'll say, I want you to speak Keigo to me. That's pretty brazen and obnoxious, and I mocked the hell out of this kohai who I actually started calling him Shibu-chan, and he got very, very annoyed by it, but he deserved it. He deserved to be put down. He was overstepping the mark. But people do it. I don't think you should be like that, but I think get some tips from other people on your equal level on how to get accepted and respected as a senpai more. I hope you can do it, but at the same time, that's the whole kohai senpai thing. I've lived here a long time, and that's I never really properly successfully navigated it, you know, to be totally honest. It's one of those things yeah, part of you yearns to be accepted and to be normal and treated the same as other Japanese, and I went through my first 3 or 4 years like that, but I came to the conclusion, and you can come to your own conclusion. I know some who have succeeded at doing this. I came to the conclusion after all that I was quite happy being a hybrid of the insider and the outsider. Being able to be the gaijin was actually, there's nothing but goodness about being a gaijin. For all the people who complain bitterly about it, at the end of the day, it's good. So that was a conclusion I came to. But you know, keep at it and talk with some Japanese friends about how to improve that. I can't give you the advice except that you're gonna have to kind of toughen up if you really want to be a senpai. You gotta start acting like a Japanese one, which I find very hard to do. Just me. But good question, good topic. Godmo Chris asks, have I ever thought of or went on a road trip in Japan? If so, what would be my dream car for the tour and the route? That's a good question. That's a great question. I'm actually going to be going on a trip to Kumamoto Prefecture soon. We just booked our summer holiday today. Oh, that's something I wanted to talk about. 3 hours to book a package tour. I mean, it took longer than the trip to Kyushu was going to take. I haven't done that many road trips around Japan. I've done a great road trip to Fukushima, in fact right to near where the nuclear reactor is, and had the best surfing trip of my life, going up and down the coast there. Excellent surfing in Fukushima. In fact, right in front of the plant has excellent waves, including of course the tsunami, as it turned out. Yes, there was that was the best trip, and it wasn't really spectacular scene. Well, you know, they have great beaches up there. Fukushima has fantastic, obviously not now, and I won't be going surfing there again for a long time, but that whole northern coast, and I guess this is the thing, for a real driving trip, I'd say Hokuriku, Toyama, that area, from everything I've heard, is like magical. Also Kyushu, like Miyazaki, Okinawa, I've done a great driving trip. Hokkaido is a great place to drive. I did a fantastic trip to Akanko. What would I drive if it was a dream car for the drive? That's another good question. If it was by myself, which of course it wouldn't be, or if it was just with the lad, if it was just me and the boy, I'd like to drive a Toyota GT86. Those look like a fun car. I'd love to have a go drifting in one. I mean, you know, of course I could say a Lamborghini or something, but no, just for a realistic, something I could really rent, or of course just a convertible. I really like the Honda HS 2000, which they don't make anymore. They don't make a car like it anymore, but I love that car. Something like that for touring around it would be fun. On a family trip, the Elgrand, Toyota Elgrand. Is that the Nissan Elgrand? I get them mixed up. There's two. I'm pretty sure Toyota is the Elgrand, but the big touring van thing, that's like first class airplane seats. That's a good car for doing a long road trip with the family, which is the situation I'm in now. But yeah, no, that's a great question, you know, and it's something I haven't done enough domestic trips. I've only really done Hokkaido, Okinawa. I've done a couple of road trips up to Ibaraki and Fukushima, but and of course Shizuoka. Shizuoka's great as well, but there's a lot of Japan I haven't seen, including I haven't been to Hokuriku, I haven't been to Kansai, I haven't been to Shikoku, haven't really traveled around Kyushu properly either, although I'm going to address that with my next trip. But that's a great question. I don't know, I know I'm hopelessly behind on topics, but these are good questions, so let me come down. Narcissus. Good to see you. Good. Whoa, what's that? Dinner done, not yet applied, but yes, definitely. Get that visa done. That'll take a couple of months, and don't expect it to happen right away, especially if you've got to apply for it. 寒天祭、今週は話題盛りだくさん。そうだよね。で、確かにAmazon のビットコインのその通貨のやつ、通貨って書いてあったもんね、これ、通貨。僕はね、正直言ってビットコインとかそういう新しいなんか電子通貨とかって正直言ってよくわかんないで、興味もあんまりないけど、なんか怪しいな。メリットはね、一回なんか集中的に勉強して理解したいけど、今はわかんない。I don't really know much about this Bitcoin and these kind of virtual currencies very much. And I don't really appreciate what the merits of them are. I know there's a lot of excitement and hype around them, but there again, Bitcoin's kind of, not going all that well, so I don't know. It sounds like Amazon's getting into it, but I'll have to read up on that. And bada bang, I'm seeing all the people who watched the start of the show, and so that is awesome. And now that I come down the bottom, it's going to start updating like crazy. And I hate YouTube. Why do you do this to me? You start updating like crazy. And oh, okay, so right now Jason's watching the Nadeshiko Japan, the women's soccer against Australia. That must be the final of the world, whatever it is, the World Series or whatever. But I'll see if I can get onto, I guess what I want to come back to right now. YouTube comments, here they are, boom, right over here, and this is what we have to deal with. I can't scroll through these right properly during the show, so I'm gonna flick through them. We've got like 10 more minutes. Less than that, but I'm gonna do 10 more minutes. I'll try to pick up, but Jason's also much. I'm gonna go in reverse from the most recent comment up, because that's just where the comments are at right now. Bada bang, bada bang. Big congratulations to Hakuho on beating Kiseno Sato, who admittedly is looking a lot stronger now. A bit disappointing that Kakuri, the new Yokozuna, didn't do so well on the latest sumo tournament, but very good on Hakuho, showing that he's still the man. So let's come up. And Ahmed is asking, is a religious reason okay for Japanese co-workers for not drinking? That's good. Yeah, some other people down below are saying as well. I would say yes, but I know people who have Muslims and Jewish people and other people who have religious reasons for not eating certain food or for drinking, and honestly, Japanese culture just doesn't have that kind of a thing like vegetarianism or, Judaism or Islam. One thing that's happening at the moment is that the Japanese government is investing a lot of money in making Japan easier for Muslims, primarily Malaysians, Indonesians and Filipinos. Of course, a lot of Catholic, but also Muslim Filipinos. It's trying to make it easier for them to come to Japan as tourists and to live and work. And there's a big campaign to try to increase awareness of needs for facilitating tourism and greater visitation by Muslim people. But that's also a reflection of the fact that there's just complete ignorance. People just don't know anything about them. That said, Japan has very good relations with those Muslim countries. And I think in general, they do with Iran as well. They're a big buyer of Middle East oil, obviously. I don't know how deep those ties go into the Middle East, but Japan has a great relationship with Turkey, Iran, Indonesia, pretty good relationship with Malaysia. So some people who know, but I think you would still struggle and you'd need to probably explain it. And some people would think, but you can just have a drink, right? They wouldn't get it at first, a lot of people, but you can do that. Now I am doing this in reverse order. So new drive, do you split the bill equally? Some people don't. Some women expect you to pay for everything. This happens everywhere. I used to split the bill because I didn't like to be on a date with someone who was out for a free dinner. I realize I'm missing the point because I'm doing the comments in reverse here at the moment, but that's how I did that. And this is the problem with going in reverse, is that I'm missing some of the chains of these conversations now. You know what? I'm gonna scan up. Oh. Come on, YouTube, help me out here. Help me out. Okay, we got the WhatsApps. We got the staff members, Sukiya employees. Oh, I didn't know that. Kantensai is a Sukiya fan. There's been a lot of news about Sukiya like having just crappy employment conditions, and they're going on strike on 29th of May on Niku. That's really interesting. Apparently I saw an article the other day in Japanese that they were looking, because they were having so much trouble attracting employees just because they've got a reputation for being low pay. Their boss went in public and said, yeah, Japanese don't want to do KK, triple K jobs anymore, which are, was it, kiken, kitanai, kitsui, but also kyuryu ga yasui, 4K, which is what Sukiya is. And although it's good food, I mean, it's basic meat on rice. Kantensai is a fan, but they're going on strike, which is interesting. I mean, and this is a thing, dwindling labour pool, they can't get away with abusing workers anymore. You know, these young workers used to get kicked around by their senpais and so on, and they just don't take it now, which is kind of a good thing, but it kind of sucks if you're a Sukiya fan that they're going to be going on strike. Very rare to see a strike, by the way, as well, so that's a big topic. Thank you for that, Kantensai. I didn't know about that. Yeah. Narcissist. He's sure that Obama secretary is composing a very strongly worded letter for the Chinese to ignore, as they usually do. Yes, that would be about right. Yeah, that's going to build up to something. That's going to suck. But yeah, Ahmed, this is kind of an idea. Maybe Japan should sell these islands to China, because it'll get a lot of territory just that it lost when it was super weak. And that's kind of the point, and that's kind of where these things are going to bump. But you know, geez, so what, is China going to buy all the islands and all the territory and all the ocean that everybody is? And the real problem, it isn't even the islands. It's the territorial waters that they'll give you, because they will. There's a lot of methane and fuel and oil under the water, which a big country like China is going to need, as will Japan. So you can, you know, there's actually, they better pay a lot. I don't know about that. Nihongo Hoso, that's right, we got into Japanese. Dance, Mikey, dance. That's what I do best. Thank you. Oh, look at this. We got the yeah, well, of course it's not good to stab people. I just made a point of that just in case there's some people who are getting the wrong idea about what I was saying, but that's right. Chugoku wa dondon chikazuku kowai wa. That's right. Since okiru no ika mo yada. Damn right, Canada Gene. That's why I'm worried about China. I'm gonna get better at this. I'm gonna figure out a better way. I love to have a comment moderator or someone to help me keep track of the best comments, so that I can respond to these better. Because I am now out of time and I'm over time, but I want to try to just skip through these and get all the best ones. But thanks for everyone. Everyone seemed to be appreciating the America-sama. Did I say America-sama? Well, I should have said America-sama, because that's what you better call them right now, because they are the big senpai who is going to protect us from the Ijiwaru up the road. And Joe Casey, when you listen to white people speaking Japanese, it's when you listen to white people speaking Japanese that you realize how truly lost you'll be in Japan. I'm so not ready and won't be ready in time. I wasn't ready. No one is ready. You come here and you get ready on the fly. That's what I did. That's what you'll do. And yeah, and you know, I appreciate it. It looks a bit weird me speaking Japanese, but it's just like an Indian guy speaking English. That shouldn't be weird, right? I mean, it kind of is weird, I admit, with Japanese, but it shouldn't be. But yes, I do get a laugh out of people freaking out at my Japanese. Hiko wa Nihongo o tsukatta chotto uyoku poi. Really? Okay. Well, maybe. I guess well, I always try to, you know, I don't want to get the uyoku guys like bashing up on me. But yes, so I guess you always take, just defensively, you get a little bit more right wing. But what can I do? So I guess do I sound a little bit more right wing in Japanese? I guess that's the language of the internet. What else we got? Support shimasu. Thank you, Canada. Thank you for supporting the more Japanese programming. I guess that's what it is. Joe Casey, you can ask the questions, not sure you'll understand the answers. Well, I can give the answers in English or Japanese, obviously. And this is cool. Joe, I'm glad that you're okay with the format, so thanks for that. Congratulations, Narcissus. I still want to hear where you got to be a jet. That'd be really, really cool. I'm looking forward to following that up with you. Tishin wonders how many of my viewers are Japanese. I'd say a pretty small number at the moment. Kantensai is obviously active. The one thing about Japanese viewers is that they tend not to comment so much, and so it's really hard to tell. Although they are there, I can tell from the stats and from the analytics. I kind of want to boost that. I want this to be a 50-50 deal. I like to get it to that point, which means I need to be a little bit more organized again, but we're getting there with the Japanese part today, and I'm going to build on that. So getting a job irrespective of skill randomly, yeah, if you've got a skill that's relevant to the type of work that you want to do, and you can get a visa which permits you to do that type of work, and there are some areas of work that foreigners are just not allowed to do in Japan at the moment. But I know guys who've worked as builders. Also, of course, you can get married, which can let you do anything that you like. But the nice thing about being a gaijin is that you can be a bartender or an English teacher, or there are always fallback jobs. You can work on a ski field. There are always fallback jobs that anyone can do. Narcissist. I just scrolled past it. Okay, I can see the. Where? I'm going back. I'm trying to find. Narcissist is telling me that I scrolled past where he is going. Okay, I'm going to find out where Narcissus is going, and then we have to wrap up because I am out of time. But Narcissus. Boom, boom. Promise not to cause harm. Oh. So you see, you got your jet placement. Where was your jet placement? I'm scrolling down all the Narcissus comments because I want to find out, and there are too many comments. Wait a minute. I can't find it. Meh, I don't know. Anyway, as usual, we're out of time, and I can never cover it all properly. I'm going to get better at this. I'm going to keep working on it, but getting some structure is the first thing I wanted to do for this. So I hope you're all well. Wow, 50 centimeter saw was the weapon used. That's not a very efficient weapon for stabbing, which is probably a good thing, but still that kind of sucks. And this is actually what we wanted to get into, actually, was the AKB thing. But yeah, then that's another thing. Are they going to refuse to do these kind of meetings anymore? Which you couldn't blame them for refusing to do it if that's what happens. And it's kind of sad if Japan becomes a society like that. Reminds me as well, speaking of society and crime and stuff like that, in America there was this guy, sounds like he had mental illness, although Asperger's is something that a lot of people have and are perfectly normal and functional with. But this kid went and killed a kid, 22 years old, went and killed a bunch of people in Santa Barbara. I know some people from Santa Barbara, and it's a pretty nice place from what I hear. The idea that there's, I don't know, it's depressing seeing how many mass murders there are in the US. It's a big country, I guess. And this is the thing, you don't need a gun to do it. You could do it with a knife if you want to, but this kind of highlights at least that it's harder to do. But indeed, split audio system. It'd be great if YouTube could do the split audio system, but then I'd have to talk on both at the same time, which would be difficult. I'm out of time, so I'm just going to skip straight to the end and wrap up. Wow, someone's being a huge twat. Who's that? I think I know who you guys are. Well, I'm not going there. I'm not. No. I think you got to respect that everyone is just different. I mean, you gotta get private opinions, but no. I'm fine with everybody. Pretty much, well, almost everybody. There are some people I'm not fine with, but that's I keep that to myself. That's a funny comment, indeed, and I'm not going to show that on the screen. So, yes, I'm going to wrap it up. Boom. End of the show. So it's been more than an hour. It's been fun. I've got red numbers on my screen, but that's because, as always, I'm having fun with you. I hope you enjoyed it. I am going to keep improving this format. I love talking with you guys. If you like the format, if you want me to keep doing the show this way and to keep making it better, which I'm always trying to do, please like and subscribe and do all that good stuff. Check out my Flipboard magazine, because that's where I put all the highlights of what I find, and follow my Twitter, because that's where I put everything that I think, that I read, that I think, oh, people should be reading this stuff, and I forwarded on that. 2.5 Oyajis this week. We're getting Shoot Tokyo. It's going to be awesome. And awesome, as always, to see you guys. And there are face discs at the moment. I'm seeing everything about 30 seconds late, but it's right in the center of the bloody screen. Sorry, Narcissus is still telling me that. I don't believe you, man. I don't believe you told me where you're going. Okay, I'm going to check one more time. narcissist to find out where narcissist is going because it's driving me crazy. So I'm gonna come on. So narcissist, face disk, center of the screen. Ah, Ikata Ehime. Ehime Prefecture. I got Ehime. Awesome. By the way, okay, I got an app recommendation. I was playing this just before I got on to do this show tonight. Oh. And it is this. It's basically a geography game. In fact, I'll show it to you on this. This is the last thing before I go. This is what's familiarized me with Ehime lately. In fact, the app icon just says Ehime. I don't know if that will focus on that. I guess maybe it won't. Ah, there you go. Japan. See that one that says Japan? It's like a geography quiz game, and I love geography quizzes. And I'm pretty good at this. But basically, you get all the different prefixes down the bottom of the screen, and you have to drag them. So that's Shiga, which is like that lake over there. So there, boom. That's Shiga. And you find all 47 prefixes and you put them on as fast as you can. It's a great little in Japanese geography, and I really like it. So that is what I am doing right now. My broadcast software is starting to freak out, so I'm going to wrap it up, and I hope you're well. I'll see you next week, and fantastic. Ikata Ehime, congratulations, Narcissus. Ehime is great, good surfing, good beaches. I know people from there, great food, fresh vegetables, really agriculture.